G'day community, Lekdog here with another mid-round little video, mini-pod, Q&A type deal. Reason it's on YouTube as a video is that we don't really want to clog up your podcast feed with 10 minutes of me just talking nonsense that won't be worth anything in about 24 hours time. So we'll just go through the Q&A. We've had a few suggestions, a few questions, a few tips, a few queries on Twitter, and then we'll have a look at the website and just chat some Supercoach. It's easy for me to do it this way. We like having a little conversation with you guys, and initially I was going to do this as a proper video with a camera on my face and stuff, but I'm not. We did some testing with the public, and they thought maybe better just to hear from me rather than to see me. Despite my mustache, my features are not quite so defined. Now, let's get into the Q&A. You know, actually, side note, I always wanted to do and I still probably will at some stage, in fact, I've done it before, a Carlton podcast called Blue and A, and it's not the best name, but I like it, so keep that in your back pocket, community. Remind me to do it sometime. Alright, Lekdog, Q&A time, hit me up, hashtag Supercoach. The first one from Jesse Spanner, who, shout out to Jesse, always involved, always love his contributions, particularly on the Tweetosphere. What did I do wrong to deserve Zorko? Well, Jesse, mate, the first thing you did was you selected him, but that wasn't a bad selection, honestly. He's just, I don't know, he's just a different man. He's not the man he once was. It's like that. For years he's been good at Supercoach, and we were never sold. And now we're kind of seeing why we weren't sold. He's just not playing very well. But pretty soon, positive for those of you who don't have him, we'll be able to downgrade Tim Kelly to Dane Zorko very soon, which is a terrifying prospect. The GOAT Supercoach, Walters, hold or trade, in your opinion, based on what we've heard today. Apparently the knee's not that bad. It's more of a 2 to 3 weeker rather than a 4+. On that basis, you hold. However, if you are desperate, if you've got holes everywhere in your forward line like the last couple of weeks have provided us, I can understand a trade if you're hoping it's a 3-weeker. 2-weeker, which it sounds like it could be, but I'm never confident with the PCL injuries that they're only going to be 2 to 3 weeks. I'm looking at a hold. But, you know, who am I? I'm not a doctor. We can only believe what the clubs tell us. And unfortunately, it's Fremantle telling us this. Lincoln Beggs, who always love your work, Linko. Cripps or a value pick like Neil or Merritt? It's tough. This is an interesting question. Cripps, for me, I think is a very good selection. Not just because I'm a Carlton man, because of all the reasons I talked about in the main podcast, which you can go and listen to. I think he's going to get better as the year goes on. I think he's going to be that 120-plus player. But a player like Neil, and not so much Merritt for me, though he's cheaper, Neil has the higher ceiling for me. Averaging maybe 100, he could average 110, 115 for the year at his price at about 520k. It's tempting. So to split him, it's difficult. I think at only a 50-ish k difference, I'd be going Cripps. But then again, Merritt's cheaper even once again. So if you have the cash, go Cripps. I'm always going to back in the higher ceiling player. But Neil, very high on my watch list. It also depends on your buyers. So have a look at how your buyers will play out with those primos, particularly in the midfield. Tim Ratton on Twitter. Thoughts on these trades? Bonner to Dunham and to Dunman. Dunman can't read. And Holman to Cripps. Love it. Great. Do it. Pull the trigger. Thoughts on Andrew Gaff? Someone that I think Pacho mentioned him on the podcast. Let's just pull up Gaffy here. I'm pretty sure that we discussed him on the podcast at 552k, averaging 111 over the last 3, 103 on the weekend, 5 round of 112. It's a real speculative pick. I think at that upper $500,000 mark, I'm looking for someone who with a higher ceiling, first of all, because his ceiling is about 120, and someone who's been more consistent for a longer period of time. So for me, I don't like it. I don't like it that much, but I can understand some of the appeal. He's a pod, but I think I'd rather go for a Jack McRae, a Patrick Cripps, if you've got a little bit of extra cash, Tom Mitchell, Dustin Martin, these sort of guys. Tom Cole's job security, well, I mean, he's been really good in his first couple of games. Hopefully that gives him some security in that West Coast team, but it's really hard to tell. Look, he plays really well in the twos, had a really good junior career as well. So, I don't know. It depends how West Coast goes. If they keep winning, I say his job security actually lowers. But, it's a rookie. You're not going to be playing him on field, so if you trade him in, the question is, will he be on your bench, will he be on your field? If he's on your field, you'd hope his security higher. If he's on your bench, it doesn't matter. He's going to make cash. He'll come in and out during the season, and you'll be able to trade him. So, not the end of the world if you bring him in, even if his job security is not that high. Captain and loophole this week. Yeah, Nick, this is from Nick J. Luff. I'm probably leaning towards a Cripps into, what's his name? Gorn. Max Gorn, the greatest ruckman in the competition right now. Eat your heart out, Brody Grundy, who is a bit sore, but apparently playing this week, so that's all right. For me, I like to look at players' average against the opponent and at the ground. If both are over 100, then I'm interested. At this stage, I'm just scrolling through. Patrick Dangerfield, he's tempting VC despite his lower form. Joel Selwood's a good VC option as well if you have him. Let's have a look. Adam Treloar. I really like Adam Treloar as a potential vice captain. And for me, but if it's not Cripps, I'm going Scott Pendlebury. So there's a few options for you. They're all players who average over 100 at the stadium and against the opponent. Clayton Oliver's another one that fits into that mould. And so is Dane Zorko, if you're crazy. Thoughts on bringing in Sicily? Well, George, 117. Something I have actually thought about. You look at his average, you're thinking, geez, he's averaging pretty well. He's in the low 400s, but trading in, is his flogginess behind him for the year, or is he going to do something else stupid? History says he will, and then get an automatic another week or two. For me, it's a void because of my no flog policy, but I understand the temptation, particularly when we've got a lot of underperforming forwards who are either injured or price have dropped because of injury, or so be it. It's an avoid for me, but I like the thoughts. Cole or Duffman. For me, once again, I'm always going to go the cheaper player, particularly because Ross has said he's playing this week. So at 117k, you're saving 60k. You're bringing in a guy he's going to be on your bench. Cole is probably going to be on your bench too, and their point production, it might be slightly lower on Duffman, but he's going to end up generating more cash. So him, for me, is it worth getting either a Gibbs or Parker next week when they're priced around 480k? Yes, absolutely, it's worth having a look at them. Gibbs, it's harder for me to suggest because we still have the Crouch brothers coming back into that team, or at least Matt Crouch. So how will that affect him? I know it didn't affect him in the first couple of games of the season and the preseason, but that's a whole different beast. And now is now. And the other one, Parker, who is in my team, who I was loving 3 weeks ago, he can only improve as the year goes on with the injuries around that midfield. Hanbury out, and then he's playing a lot of forward time to fill that Franklin void. So I think he can only go up from here. Paul, and we've had a lot of questions along this line. What do I do with Toby Green? For me, it's very simple. You just trade him. Get him out of there. It's not worth it. We don't know how long he's going to be out. He's already missed enough weeks. Time to cut your losses. Just get out of there. Billings, a 100% trade out. Oh, God. It's hard to say. Already lost so much cash. Already scoring poorly. But as was pointed out on the Phantom's Lair, at this stage of last season, he still hadn't turned up either. And he went on to end up averaging 100 for the year, just about. So he has the potential to come back from it, but it's not looking super positive. Petrarca to Heaney. I'm presuming you pick Petrarca as a potential keeper, so you're locking in a loss in terms of trades. Petrarca to Heaney, I mean, you're going to get more points. You're going to get more points for the year, so if that's your only problem, I say pull that trade, Vinny. Robert Wiley, is Beams back or last week a one-off? I like to watch for a week or two, but he looks really good. And this is what we wanted from him pre-season when he was underpriced, and we thought he would be producing these sort of scores. Watch for one more week, and then we can assess it. It sounds like he'll be one that's discussed next week, particularly in the podcast if he goes big again. Got no cash and need to address Holman, Billings, and Christensen. What comes first? Not Holman or Billings. Christensen comes first, Jared. Christensen has done what we needed him to do. His break-even is now higher than his average by a reasonable margin. He scored some points, made a little bit of cash. Billings, break-even to 35, same as last week, had a very poor week. Surely, if he gets named, he'll beat that 35. I know he didn't, but you back in the odds say he will outscore 35. Billings, like I said in that last question, it's hard, but you'd probably just stick with him. Christensen would be my first one to go, particularly if you can downgrade him if you've got no cash. Westhoff, Trap, yeah, Leon, Cleon, Leon, Tracy, discussed it on the pod, concerned about Ryder coming back. Feel like we've probably missed the boat. Michael Huntley, advice on trades, please. Tobias to McLean, Bonner to Dunham, leaving 480k and 23 trades. Yep, do it. I like it. Should I slaughter Norton or Richards? If you're asking if you should slaughter them, I think you can hold both. But if you're asking me to choose one of them to slaughter, let me just scroll down. I would be tempted to slaughter Norton. He's got a little bit of cash to make, but he's projected to only really make another 16k this week. So Norton for me of the two. Is Cole worth it? Prefer Duffman. Trade out Billings or Walters. Oh, geez, this is hard. Depends on the rest of your team. If you're going to have zeros, Walters. If you're locking in... It depends. Do you think Walters will be a top 6? If yes, keep him. Merritt or Neal, the better underpriced pick. I prefer, personally, Neal. I think he's got a higher ceiling, but Merritt is cheaper. JPK, question mark. One good game for the year. Very cheap. Will jump a little bit in price this week, but watch. I need to see 2 weeks of this before I could even start talking about him. I have Buddy and Delidio. Oh, geez. Sorry, Josh. Trade Delidio. I know you probably just bought him in. Trade him. I'm holding Buddy. He's got the bruised heel, and he's been playing with it all year. He's missing this week, obviously, but Delidio and hamstring tightness or whatever it is, it's too much. It reeks of last year. Get rid of him. Sorry for your loss. What do we do with Zach Tui? If you've got no other problems, you can probably upgrade him, but I would just hold until his bye and reassess. Mikey Sand, Kelly, hold or ditch, sick of parking him, groin may linger even if he returns. Hurts, but based on today, they still don't know how far away he is, so I would be just punting him. Hurts, yes. And let's have a look. Should I field Norton or Richards from Roy? Toss a coin. Richards, got better hair. And Stephen A for our final one. Cripps or Oliver to average more from now to the end of the year. Call me. I've got both in my team, and I love Clayton Oliver, but I actually think Cripps averages more, but Oliver might score more. So Cripps might miss a couple of games. That's what I'm suggesting. Well, community, this has been a good Q&A. I was going to try and get to the website, but we've been going for bloody 15 minutes almost, so I think it's too much. For me, let's have a look at my team, maybe spend 2 seconds on what I might do this week. I've got a few underperforming players. I've got Luke Parker who's hurting me, but obviously I've got to hold him. I've got Giles Langdon, Walters, Franklin in the forward line. I'm in some pain, community. I might just do one downgrade somewhere to another rookie, although I'm not totally sold on this move, but I might bring in Duffman for... I don't know. I might bring in Duffman for Bailey Banfield or Nick Holman or something like that. By the way, very happy with Brayshaw, who I held. Break even back down to 18, and his cash generation continues. He's now 237k, so I made a little bit of cash. It's not heaps, but he's starting to churn along. Well, that'll be me, community. Glad you had a listen or had a watch. I'm hoping that you're browsing other tabs while this is open and having a look at your team and maybe using some of this advice to better your position. Thank you very much. Catch you later.